welcome back to Redlining. It's summertime. We've got the door open behind Rich. Isn't that great? We got the sun. How you going, Richard? How's things been?
It's been wonderful, yeah. I'm enjoying the sun, I'm enjoying the summer. I'm enjoying the people walking past and sticking their fingers up at us. So, nice.
I'm wondering if we're a boo shop or a production company. Wondering what we're doing. Today on the podcast, we've got someone very special. We have Queens with a V. And my first question is, why? Why is there a V instead of a U? Are you Roman?
Oh, no, but great kind of catch. We were in Rome and I was coming up with DJ names and I wanted to be Kings. Mm-hmm. So KVEENS.
Yes.
And then I was walking around and apparently there's already a DJ. Called that. So I thought, damn it.
Chat.
Yeah, exactly. So then I thought the same thing. Then there was another building we walked past. It literally said Queens with a V. And I was like, that's it. Let's go.
That's cool. Yeah. I think it's Greek. I think the Greeks did it with a V.
Do you find anyone coming to you going, Queens?
Every single night. I do a gig, absolutely. Especially when I do like gigs in a gay bar or a drag bar. They love to go like, oh my God, Queens. So I was like, I appeal to my people. It's good.
So the other thing that is a bit of a mixed match is your accent.
Yeah,
it's all over the place. So definitely a little bit Kiwi, definitely a little bit of what else is there?
Well, I think I sound Kiwi, but
you did then,
yeah,
for sure you did.
But I lived in Canada for 10 years, and then I currently live just outside of London in a place called Brighton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where's that?
I know what that is.
You might better tell us about it.
Maybe.
So you actually live in Brighton now?
Yes.
Yep. So you're enjoying the party scene up there, I take it?
It's really good. Yep. Amazing for bass music, so makes me happy.
Sick.
Let's talk about bass music then. So for those who don't know what that is, give us a brief explanation.
Well, I kind of got into bass music by dubstep. I loved the old school dubstep, literally as cliched as it is, your Skrillex, Deadmau5 back in the day, all that stuff, it just really appealed to me.
Yep.
And then, you go about your life and you kind of end up doing a few things and you come back to DJing and I thought, is dubstep even a thing anymore? Do people still listen to it?
And
now it's obviously massive in the States. And then I started digging a little bit and I thought, there's drum and bass. That's kind of a bit dubsteppy. And then it kind of, encompasses all of those genres. And I just thought, that's pretty cool. Let's just be a bass music DJ then, because that's what I love.
So you could say that bass music sort of covers drum and bass, dubstep. 140, just explain to me what the difference between 140 and dubstep is.
Oh, that's a tough one. So 140, a lot of people in the UK kind of define it as sort of like the UK 140. So it's sort of like the old school kind of like rapper. So what's his name? Hatcher.
Right.
Like those guys when they were coming out, that's sort of your more 140. And then your dubstep is the more sort of like electronic, alien sounds and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Exactly.
Did that come from drum and bass? Was that something, because drum and bass, the stuff I know was from the 90s and all that sort of thing. So did that give birth to drum and bass, to dubstep, or is it its own baby?
Oh, that's also a tough one. I actually watched a podcast, interestingly enough, the other day where they were talking about that with Hatcher, and he said, I am the inventor of dubstep, his exact words. And
delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. And then some
people might disagree. But
I was like, all right, we're going to have to ask him when I see him. And then somebody else was talking about drum and bass, and apparently drum and bass came kind of from the club scene, sort of like New York. And then a lot of the sort of black people in the club scene moved to London in the sort of like 80s, 90s, and then they transformed that with a bit of a kind of like dubstep take on house, and then that became drum and bass. Allegedly from the podcast I watched.
Right, man. I really like a lot of the history stuff. When you see like there's a podcast, or it's a show on YouTube called Digging the Greats. Great crates. Anyway, this guy's just a knowledge of all things music and old R&B and how it formed into techno and how it formed into drum bass and all that sort of thing. Brilliant. I love stuff like that. Yeah, just learning.
So Queens, in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So how long were you here and when did you leave?
So I have been here. When did I come here? It was the 15th of December. Leaving. Oh, you mean when I lived here?
Yeah.
So born and raised in New Zealand in Taranaki.
Yep.
Born in New Plymouth.
Okay.
And then I left in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not too long ago then. So
Yeah.
you spent most of your life in New Zealand.
Yep.
And your accent is, I'm amazed that within 5-6 years, your accent is sort of on the wane.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So in between, I moved to Canada. So when I was much younger, I moved to Canada for 10
Okay.
years. So then it kind of came back and then left again. So
So I guess what I'm getting at in this long-winded way is as you were growing up, what were your kind of musical influences?
oh, really tough one. So the first kind of entry into music, I was really into punk rock.
Oh.
And into kind of the emo scene as well.
Yeah.
And then
Is this like modern punk rock, or are you going way back to like The Cure, or are you going even further back?
yeah, so sort of the Cure kind of thing, Sex Pistols, that kind of stuff. I was fully into it from, uncles and things, and you see all the cool T-shirts when you're younger, and you're like, what's that music? When everyone else was listening to, your Backstreet Boys and your Britney Spears, and I was like,
Neat.
yeah, they're a bit boring. Let's see what
Yeah.
else is out there.
Cool.
And I was a bit of a goth kid. So, yeah, I had the black hair and the eyeliner and the piercings and everything else going to school like a total outcast. And then I was in music class and I was learning drums and bass guitar. First of all, double bass.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
sick. Really?
old school.
Yeah.
And then we started a sort of little punk rock band when we were 16, 17 called Beavis, after Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
And yeah, then it just kind of started from there. It was like really kind of screamo lyrics and probably absolutely crap, but we just had the best time.
I love those double basses. You could also do rockabilly if you felt like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be sick. If this fails, I go to that.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the kid who learns the double bass, who has to lug it around with him all around school.
There was always that kid though,
There was
you go
always
past
one.
universities and stuff, and you're watching the uni orchestra go past, that one kid, normally little Asian kid, carrying a massive double bass on his shoulders.
That was me. Mine had wheels though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah.
Clever.
Very good.
There's a load of people watching this going, damn, why should I put wheels
Damn
on
it,
that?
put wheels on it, guys.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
I haven't even got wheels on my suitcase yet. What's going on? I'm curious because you've got a nice little brand going on there. You've got a style of your own. How does one incorporate style and brand into their? How does one incorporate their style into their brand when it comes to being a performer for you?
Ooh, really great questions, guys. It was like you've done this before.
Once or twice.
I have a really incredible mentor, actually, a guy called Mikey.
Yep.
Mikey McGuire, shout out. Incredible guy, Irish guy. And he talks a lot about branding and sort of like putting yourself out there as a business, not just as an artist. Because he said, and I quote, anyone can count to 4 and be a DJ. What else do you have to offer?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he just talks a lot about putting out who you truly are as a person. So that's basically just what I try to bring. And I love colorful clothes and crazy clothes. And I love motocross and the emo scene and the punk scene. So I see something, I like it, I chuck it on.
She can't pick one style. She can't pick one accent. She's all over the place, ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
the ADHD, guys.
It's the ADHD. Motocross, though, did you dabble?
No, I had a couple cousins who did growing up, and then I had back problems and all sorts of things, and I was like, shit, I can't do it. So just live vicariously through them.
So one thing I've noticed about watching some videos of you DJing on YouTube, etc., on social media, is the energy you bring behind the decks.
Yes.
Is that kind of to go with your, like, the whole persona of what Queens is? Or is it just like you lose your head when you play because you're into it so much?
Yeah, I love the music so much. It just makes me so happy. We live in such a chaotic world, and being in the UK sometimes, and obviously it's a bit, dark and moody there at the moment, and politically there's a whole bunch of stuff. I was trying to be polite. And it's winter time and it's a bit dark and people walk around and they're not maybe the happiest campers.
Yeah.
But then you walk into a club and you throw on some bass music and the smiles on people's faces, they just go absolutely apeshit. Sorry, are you allowed to swear?
Absolutely.
Okay. Fuck yeah. They just go apeshit, and then you just feed off their energy and you get so hyper. And then in the contrast, you might see, a couple 18, 19-year-old boys in the club. Maybe it's their first time out and they're looking a bit like, I don't know if I should go talk to girls. And you jump on the microphone and you're like, come on, boys, get up front. Yeah.
So you're mic worker as well. So you do a bit of MCing, or is it just a bit Carl Cox going,
All right.
Yeah,
yes.
Put your hands up. Yeah, pretty much just that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I like the fact that Carl Cox does that, because like not many DJs do, especially from the sort of house and techno realm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. He's still got that party vibe to him, even though, like, you know, he's been doing it for quite a few years.
Exactly. I love him. Great guy.
Yeah. So you moved to Vancouver. So, so where did your musical education went from being in these punk bands, being emo? So when did that transition into kind of electronic music happen?
So I moved to Vancouver and I was working in TV there, working as a TV host.
For MTV, was it?
Yes,
Nice.
exactly.
Really?
Yeah, just as a field reporter. So I'd like to say I was the main person, but just as a field reporter.
Did you get to Woodstock? Probably not.
And then I was working for Vancouver Television as well as their sort of like entertainment presenter.
Yep.
And then I was kind of interviewing all the people who I kind of wanted to be more of a part of that world. And I thought, I love music and I make music. Why am I sitting here sort of interviewing the people rather than doing it?
Yeah.
And then obviously, as you guys would know, you make a lot of really amazing connections and you go and have lunches with people and they say like, mate, why don't you just fucking get back into it? Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And you hear so many inspirational stories and people telling you, you know, like, you know, you've only got one shot, go for it now. You know, you're only going to be this young once, all the cliches. And then I met my ex-partner who was a music producer and he said same thing. We went in the studio, I did some singing and stuff and he was like, what are you doing? Like, you've got talent, girl, go do it. And then I thought, maybe I should do something about this. So I brought together a band and it was a girl group and we were called Queens. So that's how we came up with that name. And then I really wanted to concentrate on it not being a cheesy sort of teenage girl band. I wanted it to be a woman band, as I called it at the time. I know that sounds horrible, but all the marketing people were like, that's not going to work. But of just strong, independent women who can sing and dance and write their own music and play their own instruments and just be badass.
Yeah.
And so we made a bunch of music out in LA and released it in Canada. But then we all kind of had different ideas of what we wanted it to be and different kind of focuses. So then very mutually and lovely, we all said, why don't we just go pursue our own crap? So that's how that ended. And that's how I ended up where I am.
Just out of curiosity, are you still in contact with these girls?
Yes.
And two, did they follow a similar path? Have they gone down like different musical journeys or what's going on?
Yeah, so I think Danae is a radio anchor for Virgin Radio in Canada. I think that's her current job. So yeah, still in music in some capacity. Shiloh is an incredible Christian singer and she's really big, I think, in Family Church out in Canada. So she's gone a very different path to me. But she's an absolute badass, incredible vocalist. Amazing woman. And then Jerica Santos has just become this massive TikTok star. I think she's got like 2 million followers or something on TikTok, million followers on YouTube. Jesus. She's just an absolute beast. Yeah, look her up. You'd love her.
Okay, well.
All Canadian, was it?
All Canadian. So I was the only non-Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
That's fucking cool. Also, I have 2 million followers on Instagram. I never have to pay for anything ever again.
So I keep writing to her saying, how do I get 1 million followers on YouTube?
I'm trying to get our followers up. It's a slow process.
They will come.
Middle-aged man, 6 followers. Not happening.
We'll just tell Jerica, can you share this video?
Punch it out. Shout out to, what's her name again?
Jerica Santos.
Shout out to Jerica Santos. Amazing. Hashtag call me.
Yeah.
Well, that sounded wrong. Not call me. Just whatever you do on the Instagram thing. I don't know. Follow.
Yes,
Follow me.
Yes.
Follow. So what are you doing in New Zealand now? Why?
Why not? Just, it's amazing to be home. And I just really, bass music has blown up out here incredibly. Drum and bass just became this huge thing in the last sort of 1 to 2 years. And I'm watching sort of friends and friends of friends sort of blow up and becoming really massive. And it's just such a beautiful feeling seeing, you know, like your fellow peers playing these massive festivals and doing these huge things. And I just thought, maybe I should go back and give it a bit of a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what have you got lined up while you're here?
So doing a headlining show at Cassette 9, which I'm really excited about. And we just did a live stream, which should be up by the time you guys watch this, which was really, really cool at a house in Bucklands Beach. And then I'm playing Festival on New Year's Eve.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Really excited about that one.
Nice. I haven't decided if I'm going to go to yet.
Yeah.
It's a pretty special festival.
Yeah.
It is. So you're playing the Hill stage, is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
So what time are you playing?
3 a.m.
Wow, so a nice early one.
Yeah. I was like, that's whenever I play hard music. So people are like, we can't put her on at 10.
No. Is it 3 a.m. New Year's Day? So it's just
yes,
past
technically New Year's Day. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be rocking there. Amazing festival. You'll absolutely love that.
Amazing.
It's pretty special. So how long are you in New Zealand for?
So I'm going to leave at the end of Jan.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So you just decided to think, well, I must go back to New Zealand and sort of give it a crack there and see what's going on.
Yeah, well, I was speaking to, I think you guys might know her, Rachel at Mama's Cribs.
Yep, we know. Well, Rachel's part of the team. So.
Oh, absolute legend. And she was talking to me, and she's just absolutely gorgeous human, just such a beautiful person. And then she cottoned on to a lot of my stuff, and she said, I reckon if you came out here, you could really do some stuff. I'll put you in touch with some people. And, you hear that a lot in this industry. People say, I'll get people to call you.
Rachel's really genuine, yeah.
Genuine. And then all of a sudden, the DMs just flooded with people saying, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you be here on this day and this? And I was like, all right, let's go. People seem to be interested.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing while you're here? So you're from the Naki. You still got family down there?
So family, tons of family. I've got a million cousins, all in the Naki. And then Mum has moved to Picton, so we're going down there for Christmas.
Yep.
And then my partner / tour manager, who just walked out of the room, is Swedish. So he's a big fan of New Zealand, massive Lord of the Rings fan. So I said, let's go down South Island. We've got a little tour bus.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to meet with some record companies down there and a couple of other venues as well, and a bunch of dates.
Yep.
Sort of like TBC.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, would you want to sort of spend more time here in the future? Would you like to split your time, and never have a winter?
Yes, that is the absolute dream. So we're hoping to kind of make that happen sort of like this time next year if we can.
I say never have a winter, but let's be honest, when in Brighton you usually only have 2 weeks or something anyway.
For real. Exactly. Yeah.
What's the nightlife like in Brighton during the winter anyway? Obviously it's going to be a different vibe summer, winter, but is it that different?
I think it's massively different.
God, it's
so different. Because in the summer, those 2 weeks, literally, it looks like there's about 2 million more people in town. You just walk down sort of the seafront where all those clubs are, and a bunch of new ones have opened now, and it's just you can't walk.
Is the Zap still there?
I think that's closed.
Is it? Oh, that was where I grew up in the clubs. That was my favourite club. It's probably something else now. Under the Arches, not where the Honey Club has probably gone as well.
Is that Concord too?
No, not that far down.
Okay.
So you got the pier.
Yep.
And Concord's the other side. So it's this side, but it's like a couple of clubs down. It's probably opposite to where the cinema is, if that's still there.
Oh, I think that might be Horizon now.
Oh, maybe that's
They just reopened.
Oh, okay.
It's a sick club. I haven't played there yet. They just opened literally a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was immense. The thing about Brighton in the summer is that you've got a beach which is full of pebbles, but it is so busy. So busy. You cannot see the pebbles.
Exactly.
There's so many people there, isn't there? And like the clubs and bars, they open out in the summer, and people just sit outside and they drink, and like there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's a really vibrant place. Well, it used to be. I'm sure it still is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Except in the winter.
Except in the winter. But even so, in the winter, there's okay, it's grim, but
there's some stuff going on.
There is some stuff going
on.
I did see you played the Volks recently.
Yes.
So the Volks is another old school club. I'm surprised that's still going, but that used to be where the old Dolphinarium was. There was a Dolphinarium there.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're going back to the 80s.
Okay.
But there was a dolphin, because when I grew up in Brighton, I am old, yes. So when I grew up in Brighton, there used to be a Dolphinarium, and they used to have dolphins performing like you'd see in SeaWorld.
Oh, yeah.
But then it got closed down because it was cruel.
Yes.
Apparently.
Especially having them right next to the sea as well as that's where you used to.
Teasing. No, you can't go in there.
Enjoy your perspex, jail. It's great.
I'd be the one unbolting the screws, letting them out.
Seriously, like when you got some spare time, and I'm sure you probably don't have much, but like Google it, because there's really old school pictures of this Dolphinarium in and around where you know where, what's that called, that area? Where my memory of Brighton is actually going.
You're looking at me like I
Well, you know where the pier is and the roundabout. That area is called something. I just can't fucking remember what it is. But anyway, that's where it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So have a look at it. Look at some of those old pictures. Anyway.
World's oldest aquarium, it says on a big sign outside.
Well, you know, got the Sea Life Centre, right?
Yes.
So that's like what it kind of became.
Okay.
I guess. But like the dolphinarium was like something so much more.
Wow. Very cool.
Anyway, we digress.
So those
cruelty.
dolphins go.
Yes.
You're not there's animal cruelty here on the show.
So, like, that's an interesting question about, you know, kind of like playing out in Brighton, especially in the UK as well, like to playing out here. What do you kind of expect from your show? You obviously, you know what it's like over in the UK. What do you expect from your shows over here?
I feel like Kiwis are a little bit more interactive. I think depending on the scene I play a lot in London. And then obviously that is just sort of like a massive kind of like K club, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I have no idea. Tell me more.
Yep. So sometimes it's kind of one vibe. It's either looking at 300 zombies or it's people ripping their shirts off, going absolutely feral, flipping you off at the camera, yeah, kind of thing, which is amazing as a DJ. That's what you love to hear. That's the best compliment. And then I feel like Kiwis are a little bit more like, your show was all right. Yeah, it was cool.
It was right.
Yeah.
Don't like to commit.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. She's pretty all right.
I give it an okay.
This could come with a guy drenched in sweat, knackered. How was the show? Yeah, it was all right.
It was all right.
It was all right. Do you like it? Yeah. Nah, yeah.
Did you dance much? No, it's a little.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So obviously, Cassette 9 is actually a pretty cool club.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not Ministry of Sound, you know. But it is a really nice place, and I hope it's humming for you on Friday.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Ministry of Sound. Talk about that experience, because obviously one of the seminal clubs in London, and one it's probably most famous for.
Yeah. I'm still blown. I was telling Zach, who's the promoter for Cassette 9, who's putting on our show, the other day, and I just said, I just would never think that I would play there, because I grew up with literally the Ministry of Sound CDs, like all lined up on a shelf.
Yep.
And I remember even having the Ministry of Sound dubstep collection.
Oh, wow.
And I took a photo with it the other day. I think I put it up on social media, and I was like, look, here I am now. What the... Like, talk about full circle. I don't know if that's sort of like the personification of manifestation or whatever, but maybe. But yeah, I remember I just got a call from a friend, and they said, do you want to play a dubstep show? And they said, we don't normally have many dubstep shows. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to do a dubstep show. Let's do it. And then they said, it's in the Baby Box. And I said, what's the Baby Box? And they said, at Ministry of Sound. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, it's in the Ministry of Sound, because, you know, there's lots of little like offshoots here and there around the world. Yeah. And they said, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And then that got upgraded to the main room. Wow. Because they sold a lot of tickets, and I was like, oh my God, this Kiwi kid's going to play main room Ministry of Sound. And then now I've done it 7 times.
Wow.
So,
that is amazing.
Yeah. And that's cool.
Pretty sick.
Oh, it's amazing. And place rammed, absolutely.
Yeah, the first time I played the opening slot, so you know it's people coming and going to the bar, and you can. But I was having the time of my life. I didn't care. There was only sort of like 50 people in a, what is it, like 800-900 capacity
something like that
venue. So it looked pretty dead, but I had the time of my life. But since then, we've done a lot of sold out shows. And primetime slots, which is awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. So is that something that will carry on in the future, you hope?
I hope so, Ministry of Sound, if you have me back. Yes, I was meant to play there actually the 20th of Jan, but obviously I'm going to be here, so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, at least it's summer.
So at least they still kind of want me, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, interesting enough, with the Ministry of Sound, obviously big club and everything, do you ever put your own promotions on, or are you always being booked by other promotions? Because a lot of DJs, they have their own promotion, don't they?
Yeah, I feel like almost everyone does these days. I've just started doing it. So I started a collective called QVEENS to sort of promote more women and non-binary people in the industry, but also to have that equality there too, so I don't discriminate against anyone. But I noticed that a lot of the lineups, I'm usually the only woman booked, which is...
Is that to do with the genre? Or
It could be, yeah, because a lot of people say there's so many house DJs that are women. What are you talking about? There's heaps of women out there, but it could be that it's, I don't know, maybe a harder style of music that doesn't appeal to some women. But
having said that, there's a lot of techno DJs.
Yes, there is. That's even harder. Exactly. That go absolutely crazy, like in Berlin and stuff. But yeah, so I just thought let's try to sort of like bring more women in, more non-binary folk, and try to start some events. So yeah, we did one at Volks. We did one in London at a place called Bonkers as well.
Yeah. So how has that been? Like, 'cause obviously you're sort of like trying to find new talent, right? So what's the new talent that you found?
There's so many incredible people out there. It's so hard to narrow it down. And then obviously as soon as you say you're starting events, your DMs just
I'm sure,
and you feel like, how do I book all these people? But it's usually just people that I've literally seen and met in person. Do they have a cool vibe? Are they a good person? And do they play sick bass music? So yeah, I found absolutely incredible talent called Pinks. She's amazing. She's out there in the queer scene, and she's just a queen at everything she does. And she helps run another collective called Unorthodox. And if you look up them, they're doing huge things in the UK at the moment. Love her. And then a few other sort of younger guys who are up and coming, you know, sort of like 18, 19, 20-year-olds. But they're just so bloody talented. And they send me their videos, you know, doing chopping and slam drops and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, we've got to get these guys on because who else is, you know, going to give a young kid a shot? And I was like, you know, they're bloody better than me. So let's put them on.
Cool.
That's nice. It's cool.
How difficult is it to find, like you just said that you DMs get slammed and all that sort of stuff. How do you vet them? How do you go through, like, sure, yeah, nice people, all that sort of things. But how much research do you do on somebody before you get them up on into something that you're promoting?
A lot, actually. I'm one of these people who goes like really deep into someone's social media profile because also they are representing your brand. So you need to make sure they're the right fit. And especially if I'm promoting a brand that's all about equality in the industry, then I kind of go back a bit and make sure that there's not anything sort of untoward in the stuff that they've said that's really important to me. And then usually the approach as well. I literally had someone write to me, which I did laugh at and I did reply, so maybe it kind of worked. And they said, "Giz a gig." Just G-I-Z-A gig. And I was like, I mean, good for you.
Did you should have just probably went,
nah.
You're right.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, well, I think at least send me your SoundCloud and say a quick hello. And then, they didn't respond. And I was like, okay, I guess it was just lols.
What do you use to promote yourself? Like you just mentioned SoundCloud. What else do you use personally to promote?
I host a radio show in London called Select Radio.
Yes.
So that gets me out and about there quite a lot. It's got quite a big sort of listenership. So that really helps me. Shout out Select. And then, Instagram is kind of the big one for me. Yeah, everybody says get on TikTok, but Instagram has just always been the big one for me.
I got told that the other day. We should get on TikTok. I was like, I can't be fucked.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Instagram's seems to be doing all right for us. Just to have another social media platform, I don't know. You're doing all right. You've got 10,000 followers.
I recently hit it finally. I was like, I've had this account since 2012. Come on.
TikTok thing, I don't know. Like we get told all the time, like in other work, like you guys should use TikTok, and I'm just like, I don't think political people want to be on TikTok in a hurry.
Exactly.
If they're over 50, I don't think it's going to happen. No, but I anyway, it's an interesting appeal.
I think there's a lot of work that goes in social media. Do you find, how much time do you spend on social media to try promote yourself? Because like when I'm trying to promote the Redlining brand, it fucking takes all my time.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, how much time do you dedicate to that? And do you sort of like make sure you spend an hour or a couple of hours doing it just to, because you've got to promote yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great way of doing it.
Yeah, I usually schedule time. Again, the amazing mentor that I have called Mikey, he's literally done up a schedule for me. And then he says, like, I think it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And then what amount of time I should spend each day, and then what sort of content I should be putting out there, because he's just brilliant with branding. And he said, there's nothing worse, although I think mine looks like that now, than when you go onto a DJ's page and it's just all gig posters.
Yeah.
And he said, true, he was like, how do you buy into the DJ? Why do I want to download your song if it's just a bunch of gig posters with other people's faces on it?
That's interesting.
So yeah, it's basically sort of like an hour Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
So what kind of what kind of content does he suggest? So is it more sort of personal content about sort of people getting to know who you are?
Yeah, so Mondays is, which I've kind of fallen back on because I've just been so busy with stuff. Mondays is sort of like you get to know me. Yeah. So he said every week post something, and he said, and I'm talking start back at childhood because that way you'll pretty much never run out of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so your first post is like, this is where I was born, this is what I've been doing, and then week 1, week 2, so on and so forth.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
and I kind of thought people wouldn't give a shit. Because I was like, who cares where someone's born? But that is the stuff that gets the most likes.
People love that authenticity. They want to get to know you, and they want to feel like they do know you. And you're right, just putting up posters or things that are to do with what it is they're trying to promote doesn't work.
No.
You know what I mean? And putting up like little moments of your set for like a minute of like DJing or something, that works, but only so much. Eventually people want to see what's going on behind the scenes. Are you having a pina colada on the beach?
Yeah.
You know, what? Where were you brought up? Show us some stuff. Yeah, people like that authenticity. They want to know who you are.
Exactly.
And I think actually doing podcasts, and it's one of the reasons we started doing these podcasts, is because it's an opportunity for the artists to, to talk about themselves, and you get to know who these people are,
see if you gel with them, see if you like them, or if you're like, oh, that's who they are.
Yeah. I don't like them anymore.
Exactly. Hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I'm sure it won't.
And they open up really well too. So tell us about your foot fetish. Is it normal? I don't know.
Well,
long feet, fat
wiki
feet. Tell us about it. Do you ever GoFundMe page for feet? Not GoFundMe. What's the one?
Wiki feet.
Wiki feet.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
That's it. What?
I mean, I'm not on it, but I could be for the right price.
Wiki feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right, I've lost my train of thought. What was it?
One thing. Okay, whenever we lose our train of thought, we ask the question, tell us what's in your rider.
Yes.
Oh, good question. It is sugar-free Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
And vegan M&Ms.
Vegan M&Ms?
They're called Doisy Dams in the UK. They just look like a bag of M&Ms, but they're orange and they're vegan.
That sounds high maintenance. Tell us more. I like vodka without the booze.
Yeah, exactly. Can you rinse it out? Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. Yeah, do you drink or anything before you go on? As in, like, do you have any Dutch courage?
I was telling a story just the other day. I had a good time once. Before a gig.
The rest of it, shit.
Yeah. Before a gig, and there was all sorts of things going on, getting mixed and having a good time.
Yeah.
And then I went out to the decks, and it was at a friend of mine's birthday party, so a private event, but lots of influential people there.
Oh, yeah.
And then they were, oh my God, Queens is going to play, yes. And I went up there, and just all the buttons started jumping out at me and swirling, and there's a hideous video, which I've tried to make everybody delete, of me literally going, and I'm in slow motion, and then I just burst into giggles and sit down on the ground, and I was like, yeah, so no drugs, no alcohol. From now on. When I play.
But it is like a job. I guess it was one of the cool things that we find when we're talking to a lot of these people. Like, everyone's had their experiences, they learn from it, and they either go completely cold turkey or just one thing, just a shot of whatever, and that's them for the night.
Exactly.
To give them the courage, I think that's cool. I think people need to realize that, you got to look after yourself to keep the machine going. When you're talking to people like, Fatboy Slim or Carl Cox or whatever, they're in their 60s now or close, and you can't do that if you're still punishing yourself like you were in your 20s.
Amen. And you see it at some of the big clubs that I play at, and you see the big headliners come in, and you just see all the stuff that's going on. And I was like, how are they playing?
Yeah. Totally. So where would you like to be? What's your goals now? So I'm not going to ask your age. But where would you like to be when you are in your 20s? Sorry. Where would you like to be when you're like, what's the end game? What's the goal?
I love festivals. I just want to be doing festivals for the rest of my life, releasing really incredible music with good people, music that either makes people laugh. I like a lot of kind of like quirky stuff.
Yeah.
Working on a song right now called Crocs in the Club, for example. And then I have a really beautiful inspirational song about being a strong woman. So we're kind of trying to figure out which one we're going to put out right now. So I just like to make people happy, and hopefully people are buying my music and putting me on the big bass music festivals around the world for forever.
So when it comes to producing, where do you get your influences from?
Oh, really good question. I think a lot of the people that I meet and work with, one of the guys that I'm doing a show with on Friday, called a Dukin, Giles, amazing guy. I think he's only 23 or 24, but he was playing me some of his stuff. And you hear that, and then you're like, oh, what if I took this kind of hook and then mixed it with this lyric that I've got? So yeah, it's just kind of meeting people, listening to their stuff, and then you get kind of ideas.
Yep.
And then I think my ADHD brain works overtime because the Crocs in the Club, ridiculous song that I wrote. I just literally saw a guy shuffling in the club wearing Crocs, and I just started going like, Crocs in the club. To myself, I started writing down this beat, and I was like, we have to do this.
That sounds catchy.
Yeah.
Not as catchy as Crocs in the Club worn by powerful, influential women. You're going to mix the two up. Just why have two different songs? Mix them together.
Exactly.
So when you come to producing, how do you sort of get your ideas? Are you a sort of sit down and it comes to you? Are you a kind of like your ideas come when you're sort of out and about and you have to sort of like take notes of what these sort of ideas are?
Yeah, the latter for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime I'm just talking to someone, and I love writing music. I love writing, but I need to find the right person. I love writing a lot of rap. I'm not the best rapper myself, but I write these really brutal, I think it comes from growing up with hip hop culture and that kind of stuff. I write these really brutal raps. If someone cuts me off in traffic or they're rude to me or they flip me off or something, I just I've got the best rhyme.
I love that.
Do you pull them over and go, right, I'm gonna rap this shit to
Let me spit some bars.
You won't be doing that to me again.
Bullshit, you're 20 Ks down the road and you're like, I've got it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to tell them what I think. Exactly. It's just come to me now.
Come back in your Tesla. Come on.
Here's my SoundCloud link.
Look me up. Yeah. Follow me, like and subscribe. Which is what you should do to the Redlining Podcast as soon as you can. Okay.
Nicely done.
So what else do you do besides music? What is it that, you don't necessarily just get inspiration from music. What do you do that keeps your brain functioning besides listening to tunes or performing?
I love a lot of different stuff. I'm hugely into sort of women's issues and do a lot of volunteer work with lots of sort of different women's groups. And I was massively into it back in Vancouver. There's sort of some problematic areas of Vancouver, the downtown east side, where there's a lot of people experiencing homelessness. And so I was out there doing a lot of talks with people and sort of figuring out ways that we can help young women experiencing homelessness and domestic violence. Cool. And I grew up in domestic violence house. So for me, it's really important to try to sort of end that and then also bring awareness to it and then show that you can kind of overcome it and become happy, sort of well-rounded person.
That's really cool.
So do you do that in the UK as well?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I've just started getting into it in Brighton. A really amazing friend of mine, Amy Whitrod Brown. Just the most beautiful human being. She runs a women's group and then brings in lots of women from different ages and different backgrounds and things. And so I've just started working with her on that. And it's sort of, she's brought me in to talk about how trauma sits in the body. I know, deep subject, guys, sorry.
No, keep going.
But how trauma sits in the body and then sort of how we can manipulate that through music and through movement. Yeah. So rather than a lot of people don't want to talk about their trauma as this happened to me, but they can sort of explain it through music and sound and lyrics and things. So we're working on doing something with that in the future.
So do you do kind of workshops with them, music workshops?
Yeah, music workshops, exactly that.
So that's an amazing thing to give back to the community. So is there a website that people can find out more about that? I know it's in the UK, but it's still an interesting thing that perhaps someone somewhere someone somewhere can do here.
Yes. I will be able to put a link in the description. Yeah,
okay,
I'll get the info from Amy.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Awesome. That's amazing.
That's cool. I like that. That's very admirable. Very nice indeed. So how has music been a therapy for you?
Really good question. Now we're getting very serious, guys.
Well, we get deep here. On the podcast.
I remember when some stuff was happening when I was younger and there was sort of like lots of yelling and violence and all that kind of stuff. I would always just run to my room and put on my headphones and had, one of those like little radios where you plug in the headphones and you put your cassette in, you push play. Yeah. And then I would just listen to whatever it was. And I think it was like some rock tapes and things. So I remember kind of like that energy of like loud, whatever it was, AC/DC or something like that. And I was just like, and you can kind of get out your frustration that way as sort of like a 6-7-year-old and just kind of like headbang to that and not have to deal with the other stuff. So music's always been therapeutic in that way. And I think it still is to this day. And then obviously you find other forms of music too that are sort of more transcendental and beautiful, and you don't have to always have this aggressive music to sort of like talk out all your shit.
Yeah.
So actually, it's interesting. Like, so obviously your music is very energetic and not aggressive, but it's like you know what I mean.
It's a bit aggressive.
Teenage angst.
But do you introduce many melodies into your tunes? Are they like, I know breakdowns are not a thing in that style of music, but do you ever incorporate them into your music at all?
I am talking with a guy at the moment with this sort of beautiful song that we've got coming out who does a sort of like melodic dubstep.
Yep.
And I said to him, like, this song it's got this beautiful parts and we've written it and the lyrics are gorgeous and we've got some incredible vocalists on it. And then I said, and then we're throwing sort of this heavy bass at it and it doesn't seem to fit. So how can we make it fit? So we're trying to make it more melodic dubstep, which is sort of something kind of new, I think. And I think it will be quite beautiful once it's done.
I quite like the sound of the contrast of that. I think that might, if you can find a way for it to work, I think that could take off.
Yeah.
For sure. People like a bit of melody. They do.
Yeah. They do.
They do.
Yeah.
I know you go into a club and you hear like music that's just bosh, 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 bosh. But a little bit of melody here and there is usually quite welcome.
Yeah,
exactly.
Take it to the bridge, yeah.
No, I'll hire you. Done.
Thanks, Dub.
That was sick.
I'm a dubstep vocalist.
Yes. Imagine.
What advice do you have for young up-and-coming females out there who are wanting to get into the industry like you are?
So many cliches, but never be afraid to just go for it. I think I get a lot of DMs from people, a lot of people saying like, how can you help me? And I just say, just don't be afraid to just walk up to someone and introduce yourself and sort of like be humble as well. And don't be afraid to say, listen, I'm brand new, but I love what you do. Yep. Is there any way that, I can come warm up for you, even if there's not a crowd here or anything? And then as for making music, exactly the same thing. Just DM people, say, I really admire what you do. I'd love to spend a day in the studio with you. I'm happy to like run coffee and just sort of like learn from you organically. And that's kind of how I started meeting people as well. I just kind of said, I bloody love what you do. Can I just come stare at you?
So where did your big break come from? So you come from your music television. That obviously was a leg up to help you get through to the next step. Nothing wrong with that. Just taking advantage of everything. So what was your big break? Like, what was the one where you just went, I think I'm doing this now. I'm a creator now.
I don't know if I've had it yet. I don't know. I think it was probably getting on select radio in London, and then just the DMs started coming of people saying like, and solid bookings. And I feel like that's when you feel like, oh, now I'm actually a DJ. It's not 4 gigs a year and you're pretending it's lots. It is sort of consistently every weekend.
So the radio show came first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so on your radio show, when you started playing, what was the show? It was obviously bass music, was it? So it was through the popularity of your radio show that the gigs started sort of flowing.
Yeah.
So how did you land the radio gig?
I just had a friend of a friend who messaged me and said, I heard you used to do TV presenting.
Yep.
Would you be interested in potentially, I know a guy who's looking for a radio presenter, and they're looking for a woman who's a bit quirky and a bit different, plays bass music.
Do you know anyone?
Yeah. I was like, wow, that might be me. So
You sound like Dumb and Dumber moment. You're in luck. I met this chick just down the hall.
She's awesome.
Amazing.
Exactly. Literally. And then I think I took a while to get back to them because, sometimes, which when you talk about the advice, don't do this, is sometimes somebody sort of presents an opportunity to you and you get in your own way and you go like, well, that can't be true. They probably not going to like me if I send my shit. Like, so why would I even respond? And then my amazing partner, who is, again, the best manager, says to me, like, stop like getting in your own way. Stop not taking opportunities that wouldn't DM you just for shits and gigs.
See, that's a little bit of New Zealander. They just won't go away. A little bit of Kiwi, which is just like, oh, nah, they don't want to hear me.
Yeah, like the tall poppy syndrome to myself.
Yeah. It's true. That's the worst thing. That's what we do. You know, we're so used to it. I don't know how much, you know, you've obviously been about half and half in New Zealand now. Yeah. But I mean, it can be very damaging, that kind of attitude in New Zealand, is that, you know, oh, nah, you know your role, stay in your lane. Yeah. And it's like, no, but then you got to branch out and try things and then focus on that thing and go for it. Yeah. There's not enough people who are saying, do that. Exactly. Do that focus. You can do it. Yeah. Drop everything else, just stick to that. Yeah. Because everyone's working on plan B, C, D, E at the same time. That doesn't work. That does not work. You've got to focus on one and do it. And then if that doesn't work, go to B. Know when to call it. But anyway. Exactly. Yes, totally agree.
Yeah. I remember being at a music conference, Brighton Music Conference. Don't know if you ever went.
No, it started after I left.
Oh, did it?
I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was there, and somebody presented to me like a really good offer, and again, I actually said no because I just thought, I'm just this Kiwi. Like, if I get up there, like, I suck. Like,
so what was
look at all
imposter
these
syndrome?
Look at all these big DJs.
Yeah. So what was the offer?
So it was just playing a big gig in the I360, and then Carl Cox was headlining.
Oh my God! Okay, so you said no.
And I think I was just going to be one of the people on the lineup, but you know, they film it and it's amazing. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to send you my stuff. Like, I'm probably not as good. Like, Hal Cox is the best. Like, I suck compared to him. And you just get in your own way, and then you walk away and you see someone else get it, obviously, and do a great job successfully. And then you kind of go, that could have been me. Why didn't I do that?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Exactly.
You know, and then that can beat you up even more, but you've got to use that as some sort of like energy to make you go, fuck that, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. You see all these little things happen, and then I think, like, good for you, but that's going to be me next time.
Yeah. So you haven't had your big break yet. Someone else did, which made you go, I'm going to get that break.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, cool. Love that.
Do you have aspirations now to play the i360? Is that a goal now?
Yeah, maybe next Brighton Music Conference I might be able to be like, hey, remember me?
Do they? So they do something up there every year for the Brighton Music Conference?
I think so, yeah. That was the first time I had ever seen it, but I mean, I think it was massively successful. So,
I can imagine it was.
I mean, Carl Cox in a pod with, and I think there's only sort of like 40, 50 people, and so you're getting a really intimate show with
that's cool.
One of the world's best DJs.
Yeah. So with the radio show, you just started this radio show, and did you have an idea what you were going to do? Or did they say, all right, we just want you to DJ and talk, and sort of talk shit over it? And so did you have an idea of what you might do?
Yeah, I just kind of thought, I don't know. I just love, obviously, really heavy music. And actually, I remember saying to the guy who trained me on the first day, and he said, I think you need to kind of like take it down a notch. You need to play like really liquid drum and bass. And then I said, I've never played liquid drum and bass in my life. So then I remember saying to someone else, wouldn't that be inauthentic if you sort of get Queens and I'm playing liquid drum and bass, because there's so many brilliant liquid drum and bass DJs out there. They should do this job, not me. And then someone else at the company, who shall remain nameless, who's just a legend, said to me, like, nah, just go for it. Your show is called Bass Face, the Queen's Drum and Bass Show. Like, people should have a bass face when they listen to your shit. Sick. So then I just started going in really hard on everything and just really authentic, sharing lots of Kiwis as well. And then I think we had a lot of Kiwis and Aussies tuning in. And obviously Kiwis who are in London want to hear other Kiwis and go, yeah, that's me, man, fuck yeah. So that became quite, I don't know, got quite a good reach on social media, and it's awesome.
So what is a bass face? Excellent.
Got to have the gun fingers as well.
Love that. Let's go straight on the thumbnail. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well done. So when do you so where are you turning to? So you live in Brighton full time. You've done the Canadian thing, so you're in Brighton full time now. When do you go back there, and have you got things lined up for the rest of the year, or is that just?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff lined up, actually. That's pretty exciting. So the kind of trajectory for 2024 is to more do a lot of stuff in Europe. So we've got some gigs lined up in Gothenburg in Sweden, which should be sick. And then we're going to try to sort of move sort of more into the Amsterdam, like Netherlands scene, because I think they just like women and bass music a lot there. So I think that we should be able to do some pretty big stuff out there.
They just like the pie.
Yeah. And I think that was actually when you said the big break thing, or when I made it, which I still don't think I have.
Such a Kiwi.
Is I had at a gig, I think for the first time, which is like the best compliment ever, a couple of fans fly in from Rotterdam just for my show. Oh, wow. And that had never happened before. And it was these two guys, brothers, who came up to me and they were like, oh my God, we just flew in from Rotterdam. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Thinking they're just tourists. And they were like, no, for this show, we're going back tomorrow. And I was like, why would you come for me? And literally my mate kicks me and was like, that's not what you say. You say thank you. And you take the photos and you go.
Do the Kiwi thing, go, oh yeah.
Yeah, oh, sweet ass. Yeah, good for you.
So where was that gig they flew in from?
That was the one at Bonkers in London.
Oh, all right. So so they flew in from Rotterdam. All right, cool. So you have done a European tour this year, right? Haven't you? Which, when I read the blog on your radio show website, I couldn't quite work it out. It was like a gazillion gigs in about 20 days or something ridiculous like that. So were you playing 2-3 gigs a night or something?
Yeah, so it was usually sort of like a lunchtime afternoon, like chill in the sun, very much not bass music. Yeah. And then sort of a more bass music heavy thing at night. And they just said to me, like, to make it worth your while financially, it's probably better to do some stuff during the day, because pool parties we were doing on like yachts and boats, and then a couple of sort of like little bar things. And then I thought, it's quite a cool thing to do for the summer. Yeah.
So what kind of stuff would you play then for the daytime?
Oh, that was tough, because I literally had to reach out to a bunch of friends and say, I've got to play sort of some tech house and some sort of like melodic house.
Did you go, ooh, I've got to play it? Yeah. I don't want to play it, but I'm going to.
Yeah, honestly. But obviously, music is music. And as long as you find what it is that sort of speaks to you, I found some really good stuff.
And how did you find that, playing that sort of music during the day to like more chilled out vibes?
Yeah, well, a lot of people are like, oh, we want like Café Del Mar vibes.
Oh, wow. You are definitely been in England too long.
And I Googled, everyone's going to be so mad. I Googled like, what is Café Del Mar vibes? And then just watched a bunch of videos and I was like, no, not that. And then you find a couple of other people that mix in some other stuff and you're like, oh, that's sick. Let's try to do some crate digging and see what we can find.
So do you find yourself a little bit more reserved behind the decks when you're playing that? Because obviously you can't go out boshing.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I'm completely maniac behind the decks, and then you sort of see people and they stare at you and you're like got their head bobbing and the blue hair going, and they're like just sipping and eating their lunch and looking at you, and I was like, all right, calm down.
Eating their canapes.
Yeah, exactly. But so then you start just doing the like.
From a technical point of view, obviously mixing that kind of thing is a little bit different to mixing bass music. So another, obviously not, I'm not saying you didn't know that skill, but another thing that you can sort of do a bit differently and a different experience.
Yeah, and I one of my friends who's an amazing house music DJ said to me, in house music it's more about the journey from start to finish. So rather than just putting on a bunch of bangers and doing chopping and slam drops and slamming everything down and fuck yeah to the microphone, you're taking people on a journey for however long the set is. So then, I really thought about that, and the long mixing and the long transitions and just sort of taking your time with the song and really enjoying the song in the way that it has been produced, rather than trying to add all the stuff to it.
Do you find like, I'm going to have to put one of those in?
Every now and then I'll put like the dub echo in just to kind of fade it out. And I was like, if you only knew.
I don't read the room. The room reads me. Edison Queens with a V, thank you very much for dropping by now. We've wrapped up. We're just about to touch on the hour. So before we do, tell us a little bit more about where people can find you. What's your tags and all that sort of malarkey. And go.
Awesome. So Instagram is the biggest one. You can find me Queens, so QVEENS official. It is the same on TikTok. I do have a TikTok. I only just started it. It's the same on Threads. I think it's the same everywhere. Facebook as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Sweet. Awesome. And we will put links down to all the other magnificent things you are doing, especially for women's music and all that sort of thing. And thank you very, very much. We'll see you definitely during the summer.
Sweet. Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate being on. High five. High five.